Hello, Fracom As here. Today we're going to be looking at a fragrance that has been requested on my channel a couple of times from the house of Matriarch, and it's called Orca. The house of Matriarch is US based, owned by Christy Michelle, who happens to be a perfumer as well, and she focuses on natural ingredient or natural perfumery. So if you go on her website, each fragrance will give you an idea or percentage of how much natural ingredients are in them, if that interests you. Now today we're looking at Orca. It comes in this beautiful blue bottle here, sticker up front, name of the fragrance Orca, name of the house, and then around it you have this beautiful pattern or design that goes all around it, matching color cap there, and then the sprayer works really well. So Orca though is centered around two main themes on my skin. The first theme is centered around ambergris, which translates to gray amber in English. Sometimes we call it ambergris or ambergris. And then the second theme that I get prominently on my skin is around the amber core. Now amber core is totally different from ambergris in the sense that an amber core is a set of notes that gives you a new scent profile. It is usually centered around the note of labdanum, a little bit of benzoin, vanillic undertones, using vanilla or vanillin attached with the core there. But depending on the interpretation of the perfumer though, they can decide to take it to a darker amber by toning down the sweetness or not adding any sweetness to it and adding dark elements to it, or they can decide to go towards a more sweet resonance, sticky type of amber by amping up the sweet resins in it. Now it really depends on what the perfumer is trying to do as an interpretation there. Now, another thing worth mentioning is a fossilized amber, which is a totally different ingredient that's not in our core. And I got this one from Eden Botanical. According to the website, it's coming from a 35 million year Himalayan tree resins. I guess that's how long it takes to form there. So this one is totally different from their core as a standalone ingredient here. And the facets that I get out of this one is like tar-like, smoky, woody with some subtle piney coniferous notes attached to it. Now you can use this one in your amber accord to impart some of the facets that I just described here, but they're different. Now back to ambergris though, is actually coming from the sperm whale, and depending on the aging and oxidation process, it changes color over time, starting with darker black color mixed with gray sometime to lighter and lighter colors of mixed sometime from gray to white colors. The scent profile also does change over time, going from really fecal to less fecal and almost non-existent fecal scent attached to it. So for example, gray amber or ambergris there is going to have slightly fecal odor attached to it, but also going to carry some oceanic, slightly marine tones attached to it, mineral, slightly leathery, sometimes earthy. And in perfumery though, what is sought after is the aged one, so usually gray ambergris and then white ambergris, because the less fecal it is, the more pleasing it is to the nose, I guess. Now the smell of ambergris itself though is not something that is too loud. Now given the cost, typically in fragrances it is used as a fixative, and it plays in the background and adding or imparting that je ne sais quoi attitude to the fragrance. So it is safe to say that in most composition, given the cost and then the scent profile, especially when you're talking about white ambergris where it is more of a sweeter, subtle, musky scent, is not going to be something that is going to stand out in the composition. Gray ambergris might stand a little bit more because of the bolder animalic facets attached to it, but in general, given the cost, is not going to be something that stands out and is bold in the fragrance. An example where it is stand out, it is from the house of Arish Ledore. It's called Atlantic Ambergris. I have that downstairs, but it uses a large amount of ambergris. But again, there though, you can see that sometimes some of the bolder or other notes that I use in the composition are kind of overshadowing the ambergris experience. So keeping in mind that scent profile of ambergris, but as well the strength and impact of the material itself, during my wearing, at least my interpretation of what Christy Michelle was trying to do is to give people an experience that is as close as possible to the aged material, gray amber, to my nose here. So it's safe to say that it's something that's not going to be loud in terms of projection, but throughout the wherein though you do get that ambergris experience, and then she stretches that with the amber accord without the amber accord actually taking over that ambergris note. So from what I get out of the fragrance, I think she's done a great job. I think she knows her materials really well, and it shows in this composition. Now, what I get out of this one in the opening, and it's something that I didn't notice a couple of years ago when I got this bottle here. In the opening, I get freshly cut cedar, and it did remind me a little bit of Texas cedar, so fresh cedar there with slight fresh pencil shavings accord attached to it. But pretty quickly though, I get this wonderful ambergris note, and to my nose, like I said, is a gray amber because I get animalic facets attached to it. And then in here though, the ambergris is so good. As it progresses, what I get is this buttery, slightly salty, slightly leathery, animalic, slightly sweet and musky tone to the ambergris note here, and it is paired equally with the amber accord. Now, the amber accord here is more labdanum driven, but it still has some slightly vanillic resinous tones attached to it, which reminds me a little bit of benzoin. But in the background, I also get something that gives me the impression of myrrh. It is not a note that is listed on her website, but to my nose, there's something in it that reminds me a little bit of myrrh. Besides the ambergris, the wonderful buttery, salty, oceanic, mineral, slightly leathery and animalic ambergris that I get there, paired with the labdanum driven amber, I also get this fantastic, slightly incensey, smoky nuance, but I also get a faint sweetness that is coming from a glaze, like a brush of something that smells like honey, but it's not going to have the animalic tones or facets that are usually associated with honey here. It's more like a glowing, slightly sweet, honeyed brush over the ambergris and then the amber accord. Now, this one doesn't come off overly complex to me, but the way it wears on the skin tells me that there's a lot of balancing act that went into this one to not overshadow the ambergris experience. Now, as a point of reference though, this one, and I'm drawing from a long-term memory here, I've not done a recent side-by-side comparison here, but it did remind me of another fragrance from the house of Guerlain that is called Encens Mythique, which has like some ambergris nuances to it. So if you love that one, I would say definitely give Orca a try here. Of course, Orca smells more natural, but if you love the Encens Mythique and an ambergris in general, definitely give Orca a try. Now onto performance here. Given the scent profile, the strength and the impact of ambergris as a note itself, and given the concept of the house, at least my interpretation of it, you're gonna have something that lasts a while on the skin because it is a fixative, but the projection is not gonna be something that is out there and loud. So on my skin, I get between 8 and 9 hours of longevity, and then for the first hour, projection is soft, and after that, it becomes a skin scent. So I would say longevity is good, but then projection is below average. Now, taking into account the concept of the house and then the nature of the ingredient that is used here, though, is not something that bothers me. It's something that I expected in terms of projection there. Now, price point, this one, 2 years ago when I bought this, it was listed at $330. At that time, I was using the reward system. I was able to get that 50% off. So for around $170 for 50 ml, and for what I get, and then in line with the concept of the fragrance here, I think it is well worth it. Now, for people that are looking at performance and then projection and correlate that to pricing as being worthy or not worthy, I would say if you're looking for you're looking outside of the concept, or you're looking for something that is bold and out there, this one is not going to play well in your book. But if you love the concept and then you're familiar with ambergris, and then you're looking for that ambergris experience, and then projection, knowing that projection is not going to be something that is out there, but longevity is going to be good, definitely give this one a try. Now, I've been keeping tabs on the house though, and then what I've noticed over time though, it is that now consistently they have 50% off, 40% off. They have like deals every Wednesday at some point in time. So it's safe to say that you can have a deal at half off or like 40% off if you're patient. So I'm basing the review, or at least my rating, around like $170 mark. For that price, I think it is well worth it if you're looking for an ambergris focused fragrance. Now, if you've tried Orca, please let me know what you think of it. Again, thank you for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe, and take care. Bye.